Christchurch firefighters and members of the American Club of Christchurch gathered today in the central city to remember those who lost their lives in the terrorism attacks of September the 11th, 2001.
Dignitaries from Christchurch and around the world were present to mark the occasion.
While this attack occurred on our land, on our soil, it was an attack against the entire world. People from many countries lost their lives that day, including 2 from New Zealand. I told friends and family about this ceremony, and many of them were surprised to know that these memorial services happened outside the U.S., and I told them that not only do they happen outside the U.S., but in Christchurch, this was the first ever memorial service honoring those who lost their lives that day.
The memorial service was held at the Firefighters Reserve on Kilmore Street, where steel from the Twin Towers now sits as a monument to those who lost their lives.
So today, we stand here with a direct connection to that extraordinary series of events. And who would believe in New York that right down here at the end of our planet are some pieces from the wreckage and from the carnage of the events that took place on that day. On that day, hundreds of firefighters lost their lives in the service of their community. City workers, workers from the Port Authority and other emergency services also bore a heavy toll on that day.
Americans will mark the occasion with a National Day of Service.
And President Obama has set aside this day in our country as a National Day of Remembrance and Service. He's asked people in our country to rededicate themselves to community service. And again, it's very fitting to be here in the presence of people who put their lives on the line for the rest of us. And I add my thanks to all of you for what you do for us.
After the brief speeches, white doves were released into the air as a lone piper played from a nearby rooftop. Mourners left flowers and gathered together to remember those who gave their lives.
And back here, the day was far from forgotten by New Zealand firefighters, remembering their fallen New York colleagues, and ceremonies around the country. Lisa Davies has more.
A many-winged sign of peace.
The firefighters in New York know that we're doing this today.
Their release, a tribute to those who died.
We honour those who gave their lives in the service of others.
And a sombre salute from the Christchurch Fire Service.
Stand at ease.
These scarred steel girders behind me here were salvaged from the wreckage of the Twin Towers, and today they were a silent witness. One note of dissent marring the occasion for others.
Show some respect.
I'm respecting people by honouring the truth.
343 of my brothers died that day.
A lone protester
Go away.
escorted away by police. In Auckland, heads hung low as firefighters prayed, then 60 embarked on a symbolic climb. 24 flights of pure agony to remember victims and heroes alike.
Small bit of pain to remember the others, it's worth it, definitely.
You know, think about how lonely it must have been back 8 years ago, these guys climbing the Twin Towers.
8 years ago, firefighters climbing to their deaths. Today, each step to mark that courage. Lisa Davies, One News.
And tonight.
This is Nightline with Samantha Hayes.
Kia ora, good evening. And a tribute to the firefighters that died on September 11 was held in Christchurch today. Doves were released at the Christchurch Firefighters Reserve, where 3 pulverised girders from the World Trade Centre have been turned into a memorial. 343 firefighters died on September 11. 2 New Zealanders also perished in the attacks.